When certain people comment on high school recruiting, college football recruiting, you listen, especially the people that have been around the block and have been following the sport in that regard for a long, long time. Recent commitment for Iowa football, C.J. Bell, a future corner at Iowa. Some interesting comments from a veteran recruiting guru. We'll talk about the comments made by Tom Lemming in just a second, but also my comments on C.J. Bell, what I see in the brief amount of tape I've been able to consume. Before we get to that news and that dialogue, I want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, as always, Iowa Floor Covering, located down in Bondurant. Tyler, Ryan are very busy. Those two guys heading up the cause down at IFC in Bondurant. If you have a flooring project or maybe a tile shower in the works, certainly give Iowa Floor Covering a call, 515-379-7000. Or you can check out their website, iowafloorcovering.com. They're friends of mine. Make them friends of yours. Again, iowafloorcovering.com. That's Iowa Floor Covering down in Bondurant. So the news that broke last week, 3/4-star recruit C.J. Bell. That's Charles C.J. Bell from Massachusetts/Connecticut. He transferred to a Connecticut school in 2023. He is committed to the Hawkeyes. And yes, he was part of that big June 21st recruiting weekend that featured a bunch of official visits and a number of commitments, Bell being one of them. And here's a guy Phil Parker really likes, and Phil's not the only one. Now, keep in mind, Phil Parker, former All-Big Ten DB himself at Michigan State, he understands how to identify talent. And sometimes you credit Phil Parker. In fact, oftentimes you credit Phil Parker for the diamonds in the rough, so to speak, guys that don't get a lot of other high major attention. Bell does not fit the bill there. And it's in this regard. He had a bunch of other high major offers, the likes of Penn State, Notre Dame, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Tennessee, Rutgers, Boston College, NC State, Maryland. This kid was wanted by some blue bloods and some really solid P4 schools, but Phil Parker was able to reel him in. Why is he such an intriguing prospect? Well, he's listed at about 6'1", 6'2", depending on what you look at. According to Bell on his huddle page, he runs a 4.5 40-yard dash. Now, how accurate is that? Who knows? But pretty impressive for a young guy who's still got another year of high school to perhaps get a little faster. He has great ball skills. You watch him on tape, really seeing the ball well. That's one thing that I noticed a lot of people commenting on, some of the analysts out there that make commentary following commitments. The kid's eyes are really impressive. He's got great length, which helps him a variety of ways. His head coach told On3 that what separates Bell is his ability to lead. He's a very humble kid, but he's got not just great eyes, but a great quick twitch, really good speed. Again, he's running a 4.5 40, if that's accurate. That's pretty satisfactory for the Big Ten level. He appears to me that he has really good hips. Now, I'm not some hip specialist. I'm certainly no DB's coach to be able to analyze this well, but he appears to be able to get in and out of his spots pretty well. He projects as an excellent zone corner, given all of those factors, and he looks like a guy who's very willing, who will be very willing in run support. I want to read you some of the comments from recruiting guru and veteran recruiting guru Tom Lemming. Credit to Pat Hardy of HawkFanatic.com. And I mentioned this before. I don't take a ton of time to be able to read all the different people's commentary on commitments and things like this. But this did catch my attention. The headline caught my attention because Pat started this article by calling C.J. Bell a 4-star. Now, the reason that caught my attention is every other website has C.J. Bell as a 3-star. I was a little surprised given the offer list that he wasn't a 4-star, but again, star ratings aren't really my repertoire. But listen to what Tom Lemming told Pat Hardy of HawkFanatic.com. He told Hardy that Lemming visited the Oakdale, Connecticut high school of C.J. Bell, that's St. Thomas More School, but he was there to evaluate one specific player. In fact, the coach brought out 10 different guys. Lemming was there to see C.J. He told Hardy he's a really good player, gave him 4 stars. I like him a lot. He's a quick twitch athlete with exceptionally good body control and balance. He's very loose-hipped. He's got all the tools to be an outstanding corner. When you have a guy with that height, 6'1", that's great height for a corner, obviously. So he's a legit 4-star player. But now listen to this. Lemming goes on to say, Phil's one of the best coaches around. That means this kid is almost like a lock. If he's got the work ethic and Parker as his coach, he could be a number 1 draft choice. He's that good. Wow. That's a big statement. I mean, now, Tom Lemming is not some Hall of Fame football coach, but he's been doing recruiting a long, long time. He is a veteran in the industry. For him to make a comment like this, that here's a kid who could be a number 1 draft choice someday if he pans out, if he ends up hitting expectation, hitting his potential, those are some big statements from Tom Lemming. So just thought I would share that with you. Again, my observations in just a few minutes of tape. It appears that he's got all the things Tom mentioned and more, and assuming he's as fast as he claims that he is, he's going to fit in just fine, and he's a kid who could play very early. And it seems like Phil Parker has been targeting longer corners more so in the latter part of his days as Iowa's DB's coach. I'm not saying he's going anywhere, but I think of guys like TJ Hall, Julius Brents, he's targeted a number of these taller, longer guys. So far, TJ Hall hasn't necessarily panned out, but he's still young. Julius Brents went on to have a phenomenal career and was a pretty high draft choice at Kansas State. So length. You no longer see as many of the smaller corners, but at the same time, I think Phil Parker, he's kind of like Don Patterson in a sense, how Don views the receiver position, that, hey, size is sometimes overrated. We're going to go with the best overall players. But it sounds like this young man, CJ Bell, is going to be a pretty darn good get for a guy who's, again, according to all the recruiting sites, is not ranked real high, but his offers and Tom Lemming would tell you otherwise. So congratulations to CJ Bell and his family as he will get set for his senior year of high school football and then an arrival to Iowa City in 2025. Wanted to touch base with everybody and kind of give my 2 cents on CJ Bell, one of Iowa's newest commitments for the 2025 class. More videos to come, including an exclusive interview with a freshman women's basketball player with the Iowa Hawkeyes program. We'll talk about that. We'll talk to her in a couple of days. Stay tuned. I'm Corey Brada from the Hawkeye of the Storm.